So if you're watching this, then I know one thing about you. You want a natural birth and you want it to be as natural as possible, which means you don't want any unnecessary interventions. You don't want the medical system to interfere. You don't want to feel like you're pushed into anything. You don't want to be poked, prodded. You'd rather not have the IV. You'd probably rather not have vaginal exams. And you really want to know how to do this. Oftentimes, when you're thinking about having a natural birth, you're also asking the mom groups, what do I put in my birth plan? Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you about this today. But first, I also want to let you know that if you watch what I'm going to be teaching in this quick video, here's what you're going to avoid. You're going to avoid the bait and switch that happens with a lot of care providers where you go to them and you ask for a natural birth. And then at about 37 weeks, your care provider starts pushing you into an induction, possibly even a C-section. You're also going to avoid the fear that comes with trying to plan a natural birth. You're going to avoid feeling like you have to compromise on certain things. You're not going to feel like you have to beg anybody permission to do it. You're also going to avoid the natural birth traps or cesarean traps, induction traps, VBAC traps, whatever you want to call them. These are the things that undermine your confidence, sabotage your body's natural ability to give birth, and leads to trauma and intervention that you otherwise could have avoided. We cannot ignore this. There is a 45% birth trauma rate when it comes to what women are reporting. This could be a lot higher. We don't know, because the chances are if women are not reporting their traumatic births, they either think that they should not be complaining in the first place, or maybe it's just that they're not aware that their birth could have been anything more than what it actually was. How many times do you hear people say, well, that's just how birth is. Birth is automatically going to be traumatic. You're really trying to have your expectations be this. Birth isn't like that. You have to lower your expectations. You need to leave your dignity at the door. I am telling you from firsthand experience and from what I've helped my clients with, this is not true. You can get the birth you want without having to fight, beg, compromise. You don't have to leave your dignity at the door. You're not going to crumble under the pressure. You're not going to give up on your birth, and you're not going to give in to what other people are telling you you have to do. In fact, you can have your birth any way you want. This includes having it so that you show up in the hospital, you birth your baby, and nobody touches you. You can do that. The thing is that birth works. But unfortunately, the way that a lot of society has taught you and what you've picked up from the medical system and what you're picking up in mom groups and from your own community and from even birth education, it's setting you up to fail. And I am committed to making 2023 the year of empowered birth. I've said this so many times, but the truth is it's because I've witnessed these powerful stories with my clients. I tested this theory years ago with my own empowered birth with my daughter, who is now 7 years old. And really, when I first discovered this and uncovered the secret, it was just because I was good and mad after not getting the birth I wanted with my son. So the thing is that if you follow what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you my story, and I'm going to also tell you the 5 things that you need to focus on when it comes to planning a natural birth, I'm also going to tell you what you're going to get out of this. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get the birth you want without having to fight, beg, or compromise. You're going to get that natural birth experience as natural as possible, which from what I've seen with a lot of moms I've talked to, especially first-time moms, when I ask them, well, what would you like for your birth? And they say, I'd like a natural birth. I hope I get one. I want it to be as natural as possible, but you know, things happen. And I hear this so often. And then there's the moms who have already had an attempt at a natural birth, and they're like, oh, no way do I want to go through that again. Natural birth, no way. Give me all the drugs. And the shift comes because they have now been traumatized by their births, but they're not aware that birth does not have to be this painful thing. It doesn't have to be horrific. It can be the most ecstatic day of your life, that when your child is turning 7 years old, you're just like, this is also my birthing day. This is the day I got to take my power back. This is the day that I really got to witness the power of my body and what I can do. And it was the day I opened my eyes to what birth could really be. And a lot of women who are in doula work and midwife work, they come to their births and they have these amazing experiences and they just want to shout it from the rooftops. So if you've already had an empowered birth, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm going to encourage you to share this video with others who really need to hear these words, because you know that birth works. But if you haven't had that experience yet, then strap in, because you're about to get it. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do in order to get that beautiful birth experience and avoid trauma. If you're first-time mom and you're newly pregnant and you're looking to have that natural birth experience, then you need to pay attention. And if you have already had a traumatic experience, but you'd really like to have that natural birth, you feel that you were robbed of that, you'd really like to experience it at least once, then you're also going to want to pay attention. And if you're not thinking about getting pregnant again because you already had a traumatic experience and you're not sure if you could do it again, strap in again and listen to this, because I'm going to tell you what birth can really be. It can be, as I said, the most ecstatic day of your life, the day that things have absolutely just been opened up for you and you've transformed. I'm all about birth healing and transformation, and my clients can attest some of their stories, and I'll share these with you later. Rebecca and Jenny were just amazing with what they were able to accomplish. A vaginal birth after cesarean, unassisted in the hospital, with nobody touching her. The doula and her partner helped her catch her baby, and she had gestational diabetes, chronic high blood pressure. She was 41 years old, and she'd had a history of preeclampsia with her first baby. She'd been induced before, and she had a traumatic C-section. And she managed to be able to reclaim her power doing these 5 things that I'm going to teach you. Rebecca's the same way. She got tricked twice into having a C-section. The first time it was an induction. She was told that she wasn't progressing, and then labor stopped and she had a C-section. The second time she tried to go for a VBAC, she was tricked again. She fell into several natural birth traps. I'll get to that in a minute. Stay tuned to the end and I'll tell you how to get more information on the natural birth traps. But the fact is that she was told, you can't do it. You've had 2 C-sections. There's no way you can have a vaginal birth. Well, you know what Rebecca did? She ended up working with me for 3 months. And at the end of those 3 months, she not only had a vaginal birth after cesarean, she had an unassisted home birth after cesarean where her partner caught their son. And they said, we were able to reclaim our birth experience. We were robbed the first 2 times, and now we have a new story. And that partnership is a lot stronger now as well, because the thing is, when you have a traumatic birth, everything else in your life falls apart too. So I don't want that for you. I really want you to be able to experience birth the way that you were always meant to, the way that you deserve to experience it. Because birth is actually not supposed to be traumatic. It's supposed to be your initiation and transformation into motherhood. It's when you witness your full power, you tap into your intuition, and then as soon as your baby's born, it's like, I got this. I know exactly what to do. I can tune into my baby. I can breastfeed. I know exactly how much milk I need to make for them. I don't have to be relying on a whole bunch of books and experts to tell me that my body is broken and defective. I know what I need to do. And same thing with your birth is that you can tune into your body and know how to move and how to maneuver without having to remember a whole bunch of different positions that were in the childbirth classes. They're helpful, but without these 5 things that I'm going to teach you, it's not enough. It's not enough, because you can overload yourself with information and still end up with a traumatic birth. You can overload yourself with all the information. Be like, what happened? I took the classes, I hired a doula, I hired a midwife, and I still got a C-section. What's going on? Does my body just not work? No. It is because you've been taught what to think, not how to think. And I'm going to tell you in this video what you need to do now. Okay, so you ready? You ready to get the birth you want without having to fight, beg, or compromise? Here's the 5 things you need. Step 1, you need to get past your fear. You need to address those fears, and we all have them. It's in our birth culture. You can see it just by turning on the TV and watching any scenes in birth. There's that fear. There's the stories that people tell. There's stuff on social media. There's things from your own family. There's things from your education that is putting fear on you. You need to get past that. Not only that, but you also need to get over the idea that your body is broken and defective. You have to get over that. You have to recognize that your body works. Maybe in 10 to 15% of the time, you might have a complication, but the fact is that your body will still work. It will still birth your baby, okay? And the chances are that you're not going to have a complication at all. So when you go into a medical system, what happens is they have this model that birth doesn't work and that you need to be controlled. And I'll tell you more about that in a minute. Next thing you need to do, though, is you need to understand physiological birth. You need to know how birth really works. In order to do that, you need the right education. It's not dilation, it's not effacement, it's not labor stages, it's not some sort of optimal positioning. Those things help, but it's not the whole picture. You need to understand your body is unique. It's got its own unique physiological process. You are not going to follow the textbook. Number 3 on the list is you need to have the right environment. If you are planning a natural birth, the last thing you want to do is go to a hospital where they don't know how to support natural birth. And there's a lot of them that do not know how to support natural physiological birth. They don't know how to sit on their hands. So if you're going to go into a hospital environment and choose not to do a home birth, then what you need to know is which ones to go to and which ones to avoid. And there's certain ways that you can find out that, and I'll be sharing that with you too. You're just going to need to wait for a minute because I'm going to give you the next one, which is number 4, your care provider. You need to have the right facilitators. You need to have the right childbirth educators, the right doula, but more importantly, you need to have the right facilitator in forms of your care provider. If you're going to hire a care provider, it doesn't matter if they're a midwife. They may still have a lot of fear when it comes to supporting physiological birth. If you don't have a care provider that knows how to sit on their hands and just let the physiological process unfold until you call them in, they're going to try to control your birth. They're going to put fear on you. They're going to tell you you have to do things. They're going to tell you that you're not allowed to do other things that you want to do. They are not going to support your birth plan. And it doesn't matter if they say at the beginning, oh yeah, we support natural birth. The second you deviate from the textbook, remember what I talked about before, if you deviate from that textbook, and you will, because that textbook does not encompass what physiological birth is, you are a unique individual. You are not going to fit in that box. Something's going to come up where they're going to say, your labor is not going the way we want, or you're not showing any signs of progress the way we think you should, or your baby's not in the position we think they should be in, and it's a C-section, or it's an induction, or they're just going to push you and say, if you don't go into labor by this point, we're going to have to induce you because fear, scary statistic, fear, and then it's going to be really stressful. At the end of your pregnancy, you do not want to be stressed out, because if you are stressed out, your body is now saying, hey, there's something going on here. It's not safe to birth. There's a tiger in the area. We can't be starting the labor process. So then what do? You go overdue. If your body is naturally supposed to gestate your baby longer because maybe your baby needs more time and you're a 42-week mama, but your care provider is already pushing induction at 40 weeks, then what happens is you don't even get the chance to go into labor. I'm sorry, no matter how much you stuff your vagina full of evening primrose oil tablets, no matter how much you drink that red raspberry leaf tea, no matter how much you have sex with your partner, do the walking, the acupressure, whatever it is, if your body's timeline says this baby will be done at 42 weeks and you are trying to do all the things at 37 weeks, it is not going to work. It's not going to work. Which goes to the last one, which is you need the right support around you. You need people who are going to be able to remind you that birth works. You do not want the moms around you who are just telling you, oh, well, if baby's not coming yet, you need to just do walking and stairs and acupuncture and just do all the things, because if you don't and you have to have an induction, it's too dangerous for you to go past your due date. So you really have to listen to the doctor on this one. Maybe it's better if you just do this. You know, a C-section's not so bad. And they're not supporting the fact that you really want a natural birth and you have that constantly buzzing in your ear, or your care providers saying something and it scares your partner, and your partner is no longer supportive, and they're like, babe, I'm really scared. We have to go to the hospital. We can't stay at home. We can't do a home birth. I'm too freaked out. I'm worried something's going to happen to you and our baby. So like, we really need to just go to the hospital. It derails the whole plan. You don't want to do that. So how do you get all this? Well, the first step that you need to do is you need to create your birth plan first. This is the biggest problem that I see with a lot of moms, is that they wait until the very last few months of pregnancy to start thinking about the birth plan. I don't want you to do that. If you are under 26 weeks, I have something for you. And if you're over 26 weeks, but you still want to know how to get the birth you want without having to fight, beg, or compromise, this is going to help you as well, because I'm also going to give you 20 traps to avoid when it comes to planning a natural birth, which will help you. But here's the thing. When we wait until those last few months to get our education, we can get the wrong education. When we wait till the last few months to bring our care provider our birth plan, we may find out that our care provider is a bait and switch care provider who said they were supporting natural birth, but when you brought that birth plan to them, that's not what they meant by natural birth. They meant that it was a baby coming out of a vagina, unmedicated. They still want to do all the things to you. They still want to do the vaginal exams. They still want you to have an IV. Maybe we'll compromise and we'll let you have an IV lock. We won't put any fluids in, but we really need an open vein, because otherwise we can't get the open vein. We can't put medication in. Guess what? That's already saying we don't think your body is going to work. So we want to automatically control this to make sure that when your body doesn't work, we can do our stuff to you. That's not the care provider you want for natural birth. Now, I understand that sometimes you're limited in who you can hire, and sometimes you do have to go with the care provider who is just not believing in birth. That's why you also want to plan for the right environment, and that's why you need to also be able to get past your fear. Because if that care provider is the one that's the only one that you can have, then you need to be extra strong and you need to have a much stronger support system. Your partner needs to be on board with your birth plan so that when your care provider tries to pull rank, your partner can be the protector and step in and not fall into the trap of believing that doctor knows best. Because the truth is that doctor is guessing. You are the only one who can tune into your intuition. This is why when moms say something is wrong, the doctor says, oh no, nothing's wrong, this is normal. And then a couple of months later, something really is wrong and the mom knew. It's like, well, who do you trust here? You trust yourself. You trust yourself. And the only way you can trust yourself is by creating your birth plan first. Because here's what happens when you do that. Before you get pregnant, if you have your birth plan, you already have your roadmap. If you're still within 26 weeks of pregnancy, you have your roadmap. If you are only in your first trimester, you have your roadmap. If you wait until the very last few months of pregnancy, it's like going on a trip, thinking, la, 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 I'm going on this trip. I have no idea where the map is. I can't find it, but I'll just guess. I'll keep going. I'll navigate. And then suddenly it's like, I'm lost. Things aren't going the way where I thought. I'm going in the middle of a forest, and I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to be a seaside resort, not a forest. So maybe I should check the map. And you finally get your hands on a map, but the map says you are now way off course. Like you are going to have to take a much longer time to get to this destination. This is what happens when you don't have your birth plan at the beginning of your pregnancy. So this is one of the things I've told my clients. It's a big secret, and it's not so secret because I'm giving it to you. You create your birth plan first before you do anything else. It's your roadmap. It allows you to see what fears you need to tackle. It allows you to see what's possible for you, what you really want, your big dream birth. And then what it also allows you to do is think, what other education do I need to be able to make this happen? So then you're not just taking any random childbirth class that somebody else said was good. You're taking the one that's actually going to help you. Because the truth is that childbirth classes are great. I love them. I have a lot of doula friends who teach childbirth classes. I think they're amazing classes. However, those classes are specific to certain people who want certain kinds of births. So if you don't want that kind of birth, if you're like, you know, I really want a natural birth as natural as possible, and this natural birth class is taught by a hospital, and they're talking about hospital birth, and I'm having a home birth, that class is not going to work for you. It's not going to work. In fact, I took natural birth classes in for a hospital with nurses teaching. It was a health unit class, and I was the only mom who had a completely natural birth. And that was because I took supplementary education and I was really determined. And I had these 5 pillars, which I talk about. That's what it is. It's the 5 pillars of empowered birth. So you want to get past your fear, which is the right mindset. You want to have the right education, the right environment, the right facilitators, and the right support. Those are the 5 pillars. When you optimize those, that's when birth works. That's when you can be 41 years old, have gestational diabetes, chronic high blood pressure, and still have a completely hands-off, unassisted vaginal birth after cesarean in the hospital, in a health authority that doesn't support physiological birth, with a doctor that has never done it this way before and is a little kind of scared. And you've never done it before because the last time you had a traumatic induction. Or as a first-time mom, you can use this. Never having given birth before, never knowing what to expect, you can use this same roadmap to get the birth you want. Now, the thing, though, is that you also need to make sure that when you have these 5 pillars and they're optimized, when you're using your birth plan to do this, you obviously have to create your birth plan, right? So that leads me to the next thing. Next week, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be running a 5-day challenge. It is called Write Your Empowered Birth Plan. This is one of my empowered birth workshops, which I run through my Facebook group. However, it's also available through email. So what you're going to do is when you sign up for this workshop, what you're going to get is you're going to get access to the emails that are going to come into your inbox every single day. You're going to be able to have a quick exercise that's going to help you. And by the end of it, you will have your birth plan, your empowered, perfect birth plan with your dream birth, your vision, your roadmap. And then I will also show you how you can apply that to get the birth you want without having to fight, beg, or compromise. As I said, I am committed to making 2023 the year of empowered birth. Okay, so how do you get it? First of all, just go to my website, empoweringmomsbirth.com. When you scroll down to the bottom, it's going to say first time planning a natural birth or just want a better experience next time. Read through that because it's going to explain a little bit more. And then what you want to do is you're going to want to put your name and your email in, sign up for the newsletter that I bring out every single week. It's also going to enroll you into this next thing, okay? But first, as a gift, what you're going to get is you're going to get 26 things that you want to do before 26 weeks. The things that you need to know before you hit the 3rd trimester. This is really important because it's going to show you the rest of the roadmap. You're also going to get 20 things that you want to avoid when it comes to planning a natural birth, which I call the natural birth traps. So you're going to get a whole list of 20 traps that you want to avoid in your natural birth. You're also going to get 26 things you need to be thinking about when you're in the first few trimesters of your pregnancy or planning to get pregnant, and your desire is to have a natural birth as natural as possible. You want to avoid all of those natural birth traps. You want to make sure that your natural birth actually happens. This is how you're going to be able to do it. I can tell you right now that if you go out and try to find this information piece by piece in other birth groups, you're not going to find everything you need. However, I've made it simple. I've written the list. You can get it off my website. It's a free gift that you get for signing up for the newsletter. In addition to that, the weekly newsletter also sends you tips. But with this, with the free gift, what you're also going to get is a sequence of other emails from me that's going to tell you more about how to plan a natural birth, including nutrition, including your fitness, including what you want to be consuming for content, for learning, what you want to do with your care provider, how you want to have the support of your partner. It tells you everything you need to know. When you sign up for this, you're also going to get the invitation to sign up for my Empowered Birth workshop. Now, this, as I said, is writing your empowered birth plan. So even if you are past your second trimester and you're panicking now because you don't have your roadmap, it's okay. It's okay. I've had moms who are 30 weeks, sometimes even 35 weeks, who have come in, done these workshops, done what I've been teaching about creating the birth plan. They've done this exact same system that I'm going to be teaching next week. And they were able to create their birth plan, and they were able to pivot and be able to get the birth they wanted. They were able to get their natural birth. So if you really want to get your natural birth, I'm telling you right now, you need to get your birth plan figured out now. And the sooner you do that, the better. As I said, it's running next week. You just sign up for the workshop after you get on the email list. Or what you can do is you can just go to empoweringmomsbirth.com/workshop, but you won't get the 2 guides. Now, when you sign up for the workshop, you're also going to get a birth plan template. I know I've talked about how birth plan templates don't work, but this one you will be able to actually use during the workshop. All right. And then I'm also going to teach you about why natural birth doesn't work as an added bonus. So all you have to do is go to empoweringmomsbirth.com. Scroll down to the bottom, sign up for the newsletter. It's very easy to see. You just see where it says first time planning a natural birth or want a better experience next time. Scroll down, see where you've got the 2 guides, there's a picture, and then it will say, put your name and email in. You put your name, your email, you hit subscribe or whatever the button says. I think it's register or sign up now. I can't remember exactly, but it's a big yellow button. You can't miss it. And then what you do is you can sign up for the workshop. You can get that birth plan. You will have everything you need to get the birth you want without having to fight, beg, or compromise. As I said, I'm committed to making 2023 the year of empowered birth. If you love this, if you want more of this, if you want to help somebody else, drop this in the mom groups, share this with as many people as possible, because let's get this done. If somebody wants a natural birth and you show them this, they're going to be so grateful because they just avoided a C-section. And you yourself, when you sign up, you're going to avoid an unwanted, unplanned, unnecessary C-section. This is what this does. And I have tested this system. It works. It works so well, as I said, that moms who had the odds stacked against them in their birth were able to get the birth they wanted without having to fight, beg, compromise. They didn't have to give up. They didn't have to give in to anything. Nobody even touched them. No vaginal exams, no IVs, no pressure. They were just able to do it. And they were like, oh my gosh, my body works. I thought my body was broken, but it works. And oh, wow, like, look what I've just done. I can't believe the enormity of what I've just done. I can do anything. And then they go into their motherhood and they're more confident. They're able to get the life that they want because they now know the steps to take. So again, right mindset, right education, right environment, right facilitators, right support, and just go to empoweringmomsbirth.com, get those 2 guides, get on the workshop, sign up, and I will see you next week. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.